Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. As you can see from the thumbnail, we got to talk about Golden State Warriors for sure. Because I told y'all about that. Y'all didn't want to believe me when I said they was cooked at the beginning of the season. Before the season even started, I told y'all they was cooked. But look at the rundown. We got a bunch of topics we got to go over, including some NFL, man. So Wes Walker had some interesting stuff to say about Randy Moss and Tyreek Hill. I think that's gonna be real good to talk about. So we're gonna get into that. And we live, man. We can it's late, so but if you do tap in during the live, I will be addressing your comments and stuff like that. And I might even share the link so y'all can join. If you're watching this and you're first time here and you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us from Facebook, go over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumb up as well. Definitely leave a comment. But we got to get into all this stuff, man. Trevor Ariza, we're gonna start with that because he was on Club Shay Shay, and they had a conversation. They went through a slew of topics. They went over some Kobe Bryant stuff, LeBron stuff. A whole lot of things. That was a real good interview. Trevor Ariza dropped a lot of gems on that. So I want to kind of dissect some of the stuff he said, specifically with the Kobe and the GOAT debate and LeBron stuff, right? Because that's what Shannon Sharp usually like to ask everybody. Everybody that comes on the show, that's NBA, former player or a current player, his favorite question is to ask, who's your GOAT? Where you got LeBron at and all that stuff. And it's so interesting how lately that relationship between Shannon Sharp and LeBron James is, because Shannon has said a couple of things in public, on his show on First Take with Stephen A. Smith, and it's not the usual stuff that he usually say when he was over there with Skip Bayless, when he was just a LeBron apologist. Just everything he said was just to protect LeBron or to take up for him and all that stuff. He's different. I guess he got a different job description now, over there on ESPN. So it don't seem like that he's going that way, and it's interesting. I think that's gonna be real interesting for the relationship. But so we'll go over all that stuff, man. But this episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in on some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, or any player for that matter, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 or 5 players to fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can net yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code ManDownSports, and you can get your deposit doubled up to $100. You got to check on the map to make sure your state is eligible to play Underdog Fantasy. But as soon as you do, and if your state is, go ahead and download Underdog Fantasy's app. Use the promo code ManDownSports, and you can, like I said, you can get that $100 match on your first deposit. And I would want to thank Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring Man Down Sports. All right, Trevor Ariza. Well, we go listen to what he said about Kobe Bryant, man. I'm gonna come back with my commentary.
To me, he's the best player ever.
Wow.
Yeah, he is.
You got Kobe over Mike?
That's just my favorite player.
Right.
But I mean, Mike is in a completely different. He's by himself.
Right.
But if I had to say, Kobe is the best player ever.
So it's two interesting things that I heard when he said that. Of course, the first thing is him saying he got Kobe Bryant number one. He's the best player he's ever seen, right? And this is somebody he played side by side with, played against as well. So he got to see him up close and personal. And what he's saying is that's the best he's ever, he's the best, right? That's one interesting thing. But the second interesting thing that came out of that is Shannon Sharp said, wow, you have Kobe over Mike. So just I don't know if that was a slip up or I might be looking into that a little bit too deep. But if I say, Kobe is the best, and in your mind you ask me, well, what about this guy? Then you probably somewhere in your mind has that guy as the best, and you're wondering why I have that guy over the guy that you got in mind. And he didn't say you got Kobe over LeBron like he was shocked about that. He said you got Kobe over Mike. So I think that's worth just making a note of. Shannon Sharp knows who the best player is that we've ever seen, including himself. He knows his Mike, right? So I thought that was interesting. He said, "Oh, well, you got him over Mike." Yeah. We know Mike where he stands. So he answered and said, "Well, Kobe is my personal GOAT, right?" But he then said Mike is in the category all by himself. He said Mike is by himself. Mike is Mike, and I think that's a good way for some people to do it. And because I think you got to change the argument and change the criteria a little bit to make it even a fair argument for anyone in this current era or anybody that came after Mike to try to put them in that debate. As far as what's on paper and the resume, the only person that can compete with Mike is Kareem. But what Kareem falls short at is that just watching Kareem and Mike play, it's obvious Mike was the better basketball player. Like, that's obvious. So how do you reconcile that in your mind where you can debate this on paper and it'd be interesting, because Kareem's dominance stemmed all the way back to high school of not losing and then going to UCLA and not losing there and winning so many titles there. So on paper, Kareem can compete in this conversation, being number one for so many years in scoring. I think Kareem even got more assists than Mike. Obviously more blocks and rebounds, right? And then more points, right? So Kareem's blowing Mike out with stats. He always blow Mike out with stats. It's not like Mike was trying to catch him or anything like that. Mike was just trying to win and make himself a complete ball player and all that stuff. So on paper, Kareem competes. You can have the argument, but where he don't compete with Mike is when you start talking about what we see on the floor, who's actually better, right, and all of those things. Mike blowing them out of the water, but at least they can compete on paper. But when you get to the Kobe's, it's a flip flop. Kobe actually, you can have that argument as a player on the floor on how complete they both are, on how complete Mike is and how complete Kobe is, and how beautiful that game looked and how technically sound it was, and how much heart they had and how much determination they had and the killer instinct and all that stuff. It's almost even with Mike and Kobe, right? And some people think that Kobe actually tightened his game up a little bit more than Mike did, so he might be even more technically sound than Mike, right? Just think about Mike and Kobe being like the Floyd Mayweathers of their sport, someone who has all the technique down pat perfect, almost like a prodigy. And Mayweather is a prodigy, so Mike and Kobe is on along that lines with their technique in their game. But like I said, it's flip-flop from what Kareem competes with Mike on paper, not on the floor. And Kobe is opposite. He competes with Mike on the floor because their games are almost identical. But on paper, it's a lot different because, of course, Kobe came in the league and had to play second fiddle behind some veterans like Eddie Jones and Maxwell and Rick Fox. And then for 2 years of doing that, finally get his starting role, and he's playing in the shadow of Shaquille O'Neal. So for his first 5 years, he wasn't unleashed. So as far as stats, and he was still able to pass Mike in scoring because he played 20 years. Mike only played 12 or 13 and then retired and then came back and did 2. So Kobe passed him in scoring. But it's as far as everything else, you're looking at how much they won, how many rings they got, how many MVPs, how many finals MVPs, things of that nature. On paper, Mike can separate himself from Kobe. But that wasn't based on him being such a better player. That's based on circumstances. He was placed in a circumstance where he wasn't going to be able to pull all that off like Mike did, right? So that's where Mike and Kobe compare and contrast, right? But then you get to LeBron James, and he's lacking tremendously on the court, right? When you compare LeBron to Mike and Kobe, he's lacking tremendously on the floor. You know, he's leaving a lot to be desired out there. He's got a lot of holes in this game. I don't want to name all of them, but he has those holes. And what he's trying to do is tighten up his resume on paper so much where he can compete with them when people have that conversation. And I think that's a different thing. Most people are having that conversation two different ways. Some people are having a conversation on paper only, and then there's some people who are having the conversation as on the floor and how technically sound they are as players, how complete they are as players, right? And here's Trevor Reza kind of explaining that a little bit as well.
You guarded LeBron, you guarded Kobe. Those are your assignment. You going into the game. What's your mindset going into the game? You guarding Kobe. What's your mindset going into the game? Guarding LeBron. And what's your toughest matchup?
Well, Kobe will be the tougher matchup, and Kobe is the tougher matchup because he's way more relentless. Bron is more like he's relentless in a different way. He's going to make the right play. So Bron will beat you up, get into the paint, and like kick it out, and you like, whew, shit. What Kobe will beat you up, get in the paint, pump fake you, spin, pump fake you again, get you in the air, beat you up. And one. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it.
So what he's describing is, and I don't know if Ariza really believed it or if he heard, because that's something Jim Jones said like 10 years ago. Not Jim Jones, but Jim Jackson when he was on whatever one of those shows with Chris Carter and Nick Wright, and he was talking about how he felt like LeBron will let you off the hook. Because you're so dominant as a scorer, you can really do a lot of damage with the person that's trying to guard you or defend you, because you just dropping 40 on their head and it's nothing they can do. And he was like, he feels like Kobe does that, and Mike does that. Mike will embarrass you. Kobe will embarrass you. If you don't show up ready to guard him, he's gonna drop 40 on you. Right. Whereas LeBron, a lot of people feel like he might have a mismatch, but if you bring the double, he's gonna look for the right play and the right pass, and he's gonna give it up. And it's more than one way to skin a cat. You're trying to operate with whatever skill set you got, and shooting over two people and dribble pull-ups from mid-range and all that stuff. That's not LeBron's strong suit. But someone like Michael Kobe, you bring the double team, I can beat the double team and still, get my two dribble pull up. But LeBron needs to get all the way to the rim because his best shot is all the way at the rim. So if you're stopping him from getting all the way at the rim, yes, his next best thing is to find the pass, because that's his second best. That might be his first best superpower is his ability to pass. His second would be getting to the rim and scoring, right? But they both are up there. But everything else after that, the stop and pop from mid range and post and all that stuff, he's lacking in those areas. And over the years, at the beginning, the 3-point shot wasn't there either. But over the years, he's developed that. So now he's able to put those two things together. Hey, either I can get to the rim, make the pass, or I can stay back here behind this 3-point line and pull up. Right. So that's his 1-2-3 punch, or his 1-2 punch. Where Mike and Kobe is totally different. Like Mike and Kobe, they've perfected and practiced making shots from anywhere, regardless of what type of defense is there. Right. And then they're not going to be on every single time. And then when they're not knocking them down, then that's when they're start looking for their teammates, to be ready for the pass and all that stuff. But when the fourth quarter come, it don't matter if they was on all game or not. When the fourth quarter come, they trust themselves more than anybody, right? And what Trevor Reeves is trying to explain is that that puts more fear in the defender's heart, and that's harder to guard than someone letting you off the hook. You're the best player on the team. You're the most dominant scorer, and I'm trying to stop you from scoring. And all we got to do is bring a double team, and you're gonna make the pass to a person who's not a good a scorer as you are. Yeah, we don't mind him taking that shot. Right? That's the difference. You know, I rather someone else beat us than the best player on the floor. So I thought that was interesting. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man, about Trevor Ariza. You know, he said Kobe was his GOAT. He said MJ was in a league by himself, and you know, he in the whole category by himself. And he said Kobe was harder to guard than LeBron. I thought that was interesting. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I want to get into this Golden State Warriors stuff as well. I said that was cooked before the season started. And this is the thing. Y'all don't be believing me. I explained. So when the punch happened last year, and I told everybody, I said, man, this team is cooked. The locker room is divided. It's going to be a lot of hangover from there. One of those guys got to go, either Poole or Draymond. And I said all that. And people was telling me, nah, they going to be fine. And I'm telling them, like, yo, man, this ain't right. That locker room is split in half. And then lo and behold, they get out to a slow start. These are the defending champions. They had just came off a championship. And Poole played amazing during that run. Wiggins played amazing during that run. So they come out slow last year. They're not looking good. They're not winning games. I think they had a road record where it was like 0 for 10 on the road record, their first 10 games on the road. And the record never got better during the season. So they had a horrible road record, but they was winning at home. Right. And everybody was like, man, what is going on with the Warriors? Right. And I was trying to tell everybody, right? So nobody believed me. And then lo and behold, after the playoffs was over, they came up in the press conference and was like, yeah, what was wrong with the team with the punch really messed this team up and blah, blah, this and that. And all this crazy stuff. And all the truth came out. And I told everybody, I said, I told y'all this would have happened, right? So when they traded Poole and kept Draymond, and I told everybody then it was a major mistake. They were supposed to move on from Draymond immediately after they won that championship. Not immediately. Enjoy the championship, enjoy some of the summer, but what they had a decision coming up. Draymond was on his final year of his contract. The year after that was a player option. So he was pretty much on the final year of his contract, and Clay was on the, you know, he on his final year right now. So knowing that you had that coming up, knowing that Draymond was making about 30 mil on his contract and Clay was making about 40 mil, it was in your best interest to make a decision then to go ahead and trade them while they was on their last year of their contract. There's an aspiring contract. It was going to be I guess sexy to a team to see a player of that status, of that caliber, two players that had 4 rings under their belt, playing in a winning culture, who was on a final year of their contract. So, you know, it's a 1-year rental. And if you feel like you 1 or 2 players away from helping your team get to a championship level, you bring a guy like Clay or Draymond in. And I think that, and at that point, that was at their highest, you know, even though they was making so much money on their contract, coming off a championship, that's, you know, as an agent, I'm like, man, I can sell this. You know, so you have more teams that was ready to pick them up. They didn't do it. They kept them. Then after the punch, they still decided to keep them. And then after that season was done, instead of them making a decision, then they had a second opportunity to say, let's go with the young guys, Poole, Wiggins, Payton, Looney, Kuminga, and build them around Steph Curry. And who knows what you can get for Clay and Draymond. You might get picks back. You might get another vet that's younger. You know, they could help. That might be a better fit for Steph Curry right now. You never know what you could have got for Draymond and Clay. But instead, they said, let's get rid of the young guys. They let DiVincenzo go to New York. They traded Poole for an older guy making more money in CP3 that you can't even start. Right? You know that's not going to help you on the defensive end, not really on the scoring end. You know, so I mean, I'm like, man, these are bad decisions they're making, and they're making them, and I think that's why Bob Myers resigned. And even when I said I think that's why Bob Myers resigned, nobody believed me. I said, man, that dude, you know, the excuse that he gave why he resigned, when tonight he needed a break, he wanted to spend time with family. That man resigned and got a job working right back for, I don't know, was it ESPN? Working for ESPN. He went right back to work. Man. That dude was not trying to take no time off. That dude was getting away from that organization because he was the only person in the front office that had the mindset that we need to get younger and get off of these big contracts with Draymond and Clay and move along with the young guys and build and retool around Steph Curry. Steve Kerr kept saying we can't win without Draymond Green. He kept saying the core three. Draymond kept going to his podcast. Somebody said, I want to end my career in Golden State. Me, Clay, and Steph came in here together. We go lead together. You know, let us ride it out. Blah, 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 blah. As long as we're healthy, we're a championship team. All that stuff that you're not supposed to be saying. You got three guys that you're calling a championship core or a championship team. You're never supposed to go publicly and say no dumb stuff like that. As long as we got Clay and Steph and Dre healthy, we are a championship team. They're calling those three guys a championship team. Just those three guys, a championship team. And then whatever you bring in to help them get a championship, that's how they view that. We are the championship team because we was here for the first one. Everybody else is just interchangeable. And as long as we healthy, we can contend. I was like, okay, I don't believe it. This year go suck again. And I thought I was eating my words because they started out 6-2. I thought I was eating my words. And then their true colors start showing. The more the season progress, you know, you come out and you start out with a bang. Everybody's excited and hype and stuff like that. And they claim that, you know, we got rid of Poole, so the locker room was back straight. And I disagree. I don't think the locker room is back straight. I think the locker room got split and it never got put back together. Because the way you get it put back together is you actually supposed to do something about it. You actually supposed to give Draymond Green some type of reprimand or show people that you really, are in charge of this thing. And Draymond is not running everything, right? But instead, you get rid of Poole for Draymond and then turn around and give Draymond $100 million contract. Yeah, and I don't understand why they thought that that's not going to turn off people like Wiggins, Loney, and Gary Payton. Like, they see that and was like, man, it's really about the core three. It's really about those three guys. That's what it's really about. And what happens when people start to see that, I don't care, what they say or what their body language is, deep down inside, when you see that type of thing going on with the organization, you don't want to run through a wall for them. And when you really want to win a championship, you need to have guys that want to run through a wall for the team, the head coach, the star players, the other core players. Like you want everybody to be so locked in and so engaged, and they will run through a wall for you. And I don't think they got that because they seen that you would do Poole like that. You did Wiseman like that. Like you getting rid of people that Draymond and Clay are not getting along with. And we supposed to be the future. Like, how am I supposed to look at that? If I'm supposed to be the future, you brought me in, you gave Poole a contract, you're telling us we're going in that direction, and then when it comes down to it, I get punched, and then I get traded for it, and then this guy gets the contract. And now you're seeing the fruits of that. They're going to continue to be a disaster. They're not a contender. Draymond, Steph Curry, Draymond, Steve Kerr, and Clay, all that junk talk they did at the post-game conference or the post-conference after they got put out of the playoffs, saying that, we'll be back better next year, and then as long as the core three is together, we can contend and all that stuff. All that stuff is turning out to be a flat-out lie. You know, they getting clapped left and right in these games, and you know, I think it's I think it's kind of cool to watch, man, because because them dudes so arrogant, man. And I rooted for the Warriors for years until Draymond started you know, his personality just turned a lot of people off from the Warriors. You know, and the delusion of them to just think that's all they need is just them, and then the people they don't appreciate, like, you know, Iguodala has been there since day one as well, and he's been there for all 4 championships. How is it just a core 3? Iguodala was as important to the Warriors as Draymond was, if not more. I think Steph and Clay, when they were the Splash Brothers and they was coming on as the Splash Brothers and they was an unstoppable force, I think they were the top 2 most important guys on that squad. Draymond was not on the level of Steph and Clay. I think Draymond was on this level of Iggy. I think Sean Livingston was on that level as well. I think he was just as important. I think Bogut was just as important to that first group, that first championship they won. I think I'm not gonna say Harrison Barnes. I think Iggy, Draymond, Sean Livingston, I think they was on the same level. Those 3 guys, they weren't on the level of Steph Curry and Clay at all. So I don't know why Draymond think that, you know, he was that important. But no, you as important as Iggy was. So for you to come out and say it's the core 3, and as long as we got Clay, Steph, and Dre, we're a championship contender, I think that's a little disingenuous. And I you know, if I'm Iguodala, I feel a type of way about that, right? Because I don't think it's true. And we're seeing it right now. Right? It's not just about y'all 3, and as long as y'all 3 are healthy, it's all good. It doesn't look like that now. Right? Then you get the second Warriors squad with KD, and the most important people on that roster was KD and Steph. Not so much Clay. It was KD and Steph. Not so much Clay. Not so much Draymond. But he still overvalued himself. Right? And the Warriors at that point had a decision to make then. Do we go all in for Kevin Durant and get rid of Draymond after the season? I think that's what they should have done. Instead, they was trying to figure out a way how they could keep all of them. But Kevin Durant and Draymond both was up for a contract that year. And Kevin Durant didn't tell them whether he was going to test free agency or not, so they didn't know whether to sign Draymond, and they had to wait for Kevin Durant before they could sign Draymond. But Kevin Durant wasn't telling them what they was wanting to do. He was waiting to the end of the season. But Draymond, he wanted to go ahead and sign and lock himself up ASAP. Right? You know, he don't have options like Kevin Durant, so he was frustrated with that. And part of that frustration is why he blew up on Kevin Durant. It wasn't just what we seen on the court, him asking for the ball and then Draymond turning it over. It was the frustration of all of that all throughout the season. You know, I'm waiting on you so I can get my contract done, and you're not telling nobody what you're trying to do, and they don't know how to deal with me. And I think the writing was on the wall that whatever Kevin Durant wanted, they was going to probably give it to him, and then they was going to decide how much money was going to be left over for Draymond. And Draymond had a decision at that time whether he wanted to take what they was offering him or he wanted to go try to go get more on another squad. But what I would have done if I was Golden State is I would have went to Kevin Durant, especially after they blow up at the Clippers game. I would have went to Kevin Durant and told him, Draymond's gone after this season. Name your price for your contract. We want to move forward with Steph and KD and Clay as our core 3. We can find another Draymond, because as long as you got KD on your squad, Draymond becomes less and less important. He becomes a lot less important as long as you got Kevin Durant, Clay, and Steph. I would go with that 3, and I would find somebody to do Draymond Green's role. I go get Jay Crowder and get him a quarter of the money. Whatever Crowder can do that Draymond could do, we'll take that, and whatever Crowder can't do that Draymond can do, we okay with not having that. We okay with I think Draymond passed better than Crowder. I think Draymond might play in the post better than Crowder. The hell with that. I give that up. If I got KD, Steph, and Clay, yeah, I'll let Draymond go. I find anybody, to take Draymond's spot. If you look at Dario Saric now with Golden State, he looks a lot better in the lineup than Draymond does. Right? That might be the key to them winning more games, putting Draymond on the bench, letting Saric get more minutes. As a matter of fact, the year they won a championship, Otto Porter Jr. was playing the stretch four. And he was better for the Warriors than Draymond was. They had to bench Draymond in the finals against Boston and play more Otto Porter Jr. in order for them to win. It was that bad. So, yeah, the Warriors are cooked. Charles Barkley was right. Draymond Green was wrong. Steve Kerr was wrong. Bob Myers was right. And so was I. The MVP race is also heating up. And I told you I was going to come in every Friday. I missed yesterday, so I'm giving it to y'all today. But I told you every Friday I'm updating my MVP ladder as well, because Kia is updating that MVP ladder every Friday. And, man, they got it wrong all the time, man. They always got it wrong. So they updated it. Last week, they had Luka number 2. They had Jokic number 1. They had Embiid 3. And I don't remember who they had at 4 and 5. Who they had in 4 and 5? They had Shea at 4. And they had Tatum at 5. This week, they got Tatum out of the MVP race. He's fallen out. He out of the top 5. He's in number 7 spot. They got Halliburton at number 6. I forgot. Let me start from number 10. They got LeBron James at number 10. Anthony Edwards at number 9. Kevin Durant at 8. Jason Tatum at 7. Tyrese Halliburton at 6. And then Giannis has jumped into the top 5 this week. He's number 5. Shai Gilgeous is number 4. Luka is number 3. Embiid is number 2 again, and Jokic is still number 1. I'm gonna tell you why this list is so weird, right? You could tell it don't have. There's no real criteria of the MVP, man. You could have 100 voters for MVP and 100 different criteria, because since the NBA won't put out a real criteria on how you grade the players and see who's the most valuable player. They won't put out a standardized criteria, so it's a free fall. It's up to it's up to all the voters, whether it's 100 or more, right? I think it's around 100, a little bit more than 100. It's up to those voters to decide what their own criteria is, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Like, how do you have I think the MVP is too important of an award to just leave it to chance with a whole bunch of voters having their own criteria. So the NBA needs to do that. That's the first thing they need to do. They need to come up with a standardized criteria that's transparent to the fans, so the fans know, all right, man, we can kind of figure out who's in the lead for the MVP, because basically what it is now is a bunch of people on ESPN, a bunch of writers, a bunch of journalists, media talking heads, all just beefing about who they think it is and describing why with a 1,000 different criterias and that's all it is, right? So but I do have my own criteria, and I told people before, probably, I don't know, it was last season when they came out with the announcement that they was naming the trophy, the MVP trophy, off of Michael Jordan. I did a video then and said, this is an opportunity for the NBA, now that they're naming the trophy after Michael Jordan, to come up with a criteria that matches Michael Jordan or what he was as a player, right? So I put some stuff up. Let me see if I can find it. I probably still got it. I put some stuff up. This is MJ. 87, 88 was I think that was his first MVP that he got, 87, 88. And if you look to the right inside the green circle, he was also the defensive player of the year that year. And then you look at the list under that, he was a scoring leader, so he got the scoring title. He was the steals leader. He was all NBA first team. He was all defensive team, right? And he won MVP, right? That's fascinating. Look at the bottom left, right beside the picture, Michael Jordan, 87, 88. You see that he also played 82 games that year. So imagine 35 points, 82 games, 5.5 rebounds, let's say 6 rebounds. So 35 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and all 82 games. Not to mention that they had a winning record, right? So I think that's the criteria. I think the criteria is overall team success, right? Value on the defensive end, value on the offensive end, and the games played, right? Durability and stuff like that. So I think that's the criteria, right? So it'll look like this, right? If MVP is the goal, my way of triangulating it is I need you to show me your offensive value. I need you to show me your defensive value as a player. And then your offense and your defensive value needs to lead to team success. And how do we measure team success? Your team record, of course. Your team seeding, right? I typically wouldn't pick an MVP or vote for an MVP that's anywhere below the 5th seed in their conference, or I just wouldn't do it. You can be the 5th seed or above in the Eastern or the Western Conference, and I would consider you. But that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going straight to the best teams, and I'm cherry picking my MVPs off the best teams. I would not be picking anybody that's on the team that's leading a team that's below the 5th seed in their conference. It just don't make no sense to me, right? So team success is very important. Your seeding, your record, and then of course I factor in your offensive and defensive rating, because I think that's important. If you're telling me that you're one of the best offensive players in the league, I need to see that translate somehow in team success, whether it be first and foremost your offense actually is translating to your team offense being good, and then of course that it leads to winning, right? So that's the first thing. And then the defensive value and offensive value, how do you show value in that way? Well, the visual eye test, right? If we're talking about defense, you can look at a player and you can see that they are being a good defender. It's not always going to be in the stat sheet. So as far as defensive players, you think of Bruce Bowen or Tony Allen, they didn't record blocks and steals that much, but they were put on your team's best wing player to stop them, right? Same thing with Drew Holiday right now. We know Drew Holiday plays great defense and locks up, right? So visually we got to see you putting that effort in and being very valuable to your team on defense. And then there's other ways to figure it out as well. Sometimes the NBA does it for us because this player is going to be maybe top 5 finish in the Defensive Player of the Year award, or this player might have the stats like a Brook Lopez. He might be averaging 3 blocks a game, or somebody might be like in Michael Jordan's case was averaging 3 steals a game, right? So those things, if you're in the Defensive Player of the Year race, or your blocks or steals is actually showing us your value on defense, and that actually is helping your team defense be great, your team defensive rating is good, and your team is winning, that's how I do that with defense. And same thing with offense. Scoring is what is king. Assisting is good as well, but scoring is first and foremost. how you show your value, especially for an MVP candidate. You show your value by putting the ball in the hole. Now it's a bonus if you also assisting the ball at a high clip, and most of these guys are, because you don't even have to force it. If you're a great scorer and the offense is running through you, you're going to get double teamed, and passing out of that double team is going to lead directly to an assist, or it might be the pass that leads to an assist, like, the hockey assist, right? So without even trying, De'Aaron Fox, he plays off the ball a lot. He had 16 assists tonight, right? So, without even really trying, a person like De'Aaron Fox that averaging 30 points, that concentrate on playing off the ball, and who can score the high clip, he's still getting 5 to 6 assists a game without just dominating the ball. SGA is playing more off the ball this year. They're putting Giddey at the point. They got Lou Dort in there sometimes running the point. So SGA is a little bit off the ball more this year. He's still getting 6 assists, right? Kevin Durant is playing off the ball. He's getting 6 assists. Who else is playing off the ball? It's so many people. Let's say Tatum. Tatum's not getting 6. He's getting about 4 assists, close to 5. But he's really off the ball because they got Drew Holiday as the point, and then they got Derek White backing him up as the point, and then Jaylen Brown has the ball just as much as Tatum does. So, but without running any point guard, Jason Tatum's still getting you 4 to 5 assists. So when you're a great scorer, you're going to get doubled, and if you can pass, you're going to get at least 4 or 5 assists a game. Now, if you actually run point for your team, like Luka does, then you're probably going to get 8 assists. Devin Booker runs point for Phoenix. He's getting 9 assists. Jokic runs point more than his point guard does. He's getting 9 assists, right? So if you're off the ball, 5 to 6 assists is good. If you're the point guard, yeah, obviously you're going to get a little bit more, between 8 and 9 assists, right? But they're all getting between 25 and 30 points, and between 4 and 6, 5 and 9 assists. So that's kind of, that's kind of a wash. Like every MVP candidate is going to be scoring at a high clip and assisting at an average to high clip. So that's a wash. That's a given. So if we all are valuable on offense, we know they're valuable on offense. What's left? Defensive value and team success. And that's where you separate the men from the boys with this. That's where you separate the men from the boys, man, because the team success is lacking in a lot of these guys, right? All right, let's look at the Eastern Conference. Well, that's the Western Conference. Let's look at Western Conference first. Minnesota Timberwolves, number 1. Now, mind you, remember, I just told you the Kill MVP ladder just came out yesterday, and they do not have Tatum or Edwards in the top 5. They got Luka in the top 5. They don't have Tatum and Edwards. Edwards is leading the team who has the number 1 record in the Western Conference, tied for number 1 in the league with Boston, led by Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is averaging about 26, 5 and 6. So he's very valuable on offense. We know he has value on offense, but not only that, he's playing lockdown defense. He's probably going to be in a conversation for first team all defense, if not second team, right? And his defense is actually helping his team have the best defensive rating in the league. The Minnesota Timberwolves have the best defensive rating in the league. The Boston Celtics has the second best defensive rating in the league. And then Boston and T-Wolves are both tied for the number 1 record in the league. So you got team success, the number 1 record, right? You're showing your value on the offense and defensive end, and it's translating to your team actually being a top-rated defense with the best record. And you mean to tell me you can't have him in the top 5 of MVP race, Anthony Edwards, right? And then you go to the East Coast, Boston 15-4, tied for the best record in the league. Also a top-rated defense. They're number 2 behind Minnesota. And Jason Tatum is also a lockdown defender. And he's valuable on both ends of the floor, defense, offense, team success is there. And you mean to tell me he's not in the top 5? Right? So what the NBA voters really value, what the NBA media really value is points. Anything close to a triple-double. That's all they're worried about. How close to a triple-double are you? And we'll put you in the MVP race. And that's why Luka, Jokic, and Giannis stay in the MVP discussion so much, because if we could just pull out enough wins where it makes sense, where we can put you in there, we know y'all going to go get the triple-double because y'all play in an offense that sets y'all up for a triple-double every game. Like, it's almost like, I'm shocked when Luka don't get a triple-double, because the offense is set up for him to get a triple-double every single game. And that's what voters like. They see triple-double and they just lose their mind. I listened to the Mavs fans podcast tonight, and they were so in love with the triple-double that Luka gave them tonight. They said, we don't even care we lost tonight. They were so happy with what they seen. They said they was encouraged by what they seen tonight. 30 straight points, setting a record, scoring 30 straight points. You scored 30 straight points so you can lose by 6. And you encouraged. That's crazy to me, right? I told y'all before, the priority list for the Mavs this year is Luka getting MVP, Luka getting all his stats, right? Staying the top rated offense. Winning is questionable. I mean, yeah, we'll take the moral victory. That's the attitude of the Mavs. They said, we okay with what we seen tonight, even though we lost. I'm encouraged. So winning is, we want to win, but I don't think we can actually win a championship. So as long as Luka give us all his great stats, and we can talk about Luka and he's selling tickets and stuff like that, I think that's real important to them. And defense is really out of the question. That's their priority list this year. That's why Rick Carlisle left. He was done. He was done with what they had going on. But my MVP this season, this is how I got it. Right? Like I said, I value everything. Right? I value everything. I value the team success. I value offensive value and defensive value. Right? All those things got to be there for me. So for that reason, the best team with the best record, and also rated in the top 3 in defense and defensive rating, Jason Tatum is my number 1. Shai Gilgeous is my number 2. Both of these guys are two-way players. And when you think about it, those dudes, when they face off with other MVP candidates, they're winning. Their teams are winning. Shai Gilgeous played against Luka tonight. Clapped them. Right? They got so bored tonight. They was up by 24 pretty much the whole game. They got so bored. That's what started their comeback with the Mavs. I mean, they was bored. OKC was bored, man. We've been beating y'all like a drum since the first quarter. Like, it's not easy to beat somebody like a drum for that long. We just waiting for this game to be over, man. Like, they can't even stop us. We stopping them too easy. Man, this game need to hurry up and be over. And they couldn't finish it, which is not a good thing for that team, because you got to show maturity, and you can't play with your food. You gotta put it away while it's still hot, right? But they played with their food a little bit, and they almost paid for it, And you can't count a guy like Luka out, man, because he ain't got no quit in him, and he got a lot of heart, and he played phenomenal defense during that 30-point outburst. But they called the timeout, and he went to the bench and didn't have nothing left in the tank. You could see it. You could see it on the bench. And then when he came back in there, it was almost like a boxer punching himself out, and didn't have enough left for the game, and he ended up getting knocked out. And that's what happened with the Mavs and Luka. Luka was tired. All that good defense he played wore him out. That 30-point outburst wore him out, and he didn't have nothing left for the final stretch, and OKC easily won. And a lot of tired mental mistakes was made by Luka in that stretch after, because he was so tired. He turned the ball over on the inbounds play. Fresh out of the timeout, inbounds play, turnover. Shai Gilgeous went down to score. They go up 4, right? He had the ball at the wing, traveled, another turnover. And then he had 2 missed defensive assignments on the defensive end that led to easy buckets. This was all down the stretch after they had the 30-point outburst, right? So that kind of leads me to think, if he was playing defense like that every game, he wouldn't have nothing for the fourth quarter every game. So he got to rest on defense, in my opinion. And that's not an MVP to me. But if you can see right there, I mean, they done lost 7 of the last 10 games. They're on a 3-game lose streak. They got the 25th ranked defensive rating. And when they play MVP candidates, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's played against Jokic, he's played against Anthony Edwards, and he's played against who else he played? He played against somebody else, I can't remember. But 4 MVP candidates, every time he faced, De'Aaron Fox played against De'Aaron Fox. Every time they face an MVP candidate, they lose. They're 0-4. They beat average to below average teams. They play a good team with an MVP candidate. They coming out on the losing end. So with that being said, if you've lost 7 of your last 10, 3 in a row, your defensive rating is 25th, and you 0-4 against MVP candidates, how are you still in the MVP race? How does Kia have him in the top 5 of the MVP race? You're number 6 in the West right now. I'm not picking anybody for MVP below the 5th seed. That's just how I look at it, man. So got to give Jason Tatum his flower, SGA his flower, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic their flowers, and Anthony Edwards their flowers, right? I would love to have De'Aaron Fox in the top 5, but these are the 5 I got ahead of him. I would love to have Kevin Durant in there, but these are the 5 I have ahead of him, right? Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns are going to have to stop dropping games that they're supposed to win. And that's how Kevin Durant can get back in that top 5. But right now he's tied with Luka in the Mavs, right? So, they both, they got Phoenix number 5 and Dallas number 6, but they got the same record. So let's just say they both number 6, right? So, I wouldn't have KD or Booker there either, but Fox and definitely Fox would probably be my number 6 right now, and then KD and Luka probably 7 and 8 right there. But that's my top 5. That's my top 5 for MVP. And another thing, so Kevin Garnett was on Stephen A. Smith's podcast, right? And he said something very interesting, right? And coming from Kevin Durant that battled with LeBron James so many years, and they hated the Heat, and he had that fallout with Ray Allen because he joined the Heat. I mean, I think he had a lot of hate for LeBron James as a player. So, when they talked about LeBron James, they said slick stuff, and Paul Pierce would say his thing and stuff like that. But now they're changing their tone. Like, man, look, the young buddy might have an argument for that GOAT, man. Listen to what Kevin Garnett said.
Oh, I have looked at him and went like this.
Shout to Black Jesus, man. We're never going to hey, listen, we're never going to disrespect the king. You know what I'm saying? Black Jesus. Shout to MJ. He's my GOAT of all of this, the business, the everything. He's the vision of what every black man should aspire for. Being a billionaire, having your own labels being revealed. Like, he set the tone, right? Man, we ain't never seen a 6'9", 265 run the joint, 3'8", run the like I get it. I played against bro. I've let it go. It ain't personal with me no more. I'm watching as a fan, and I'm giving flowers, and I'm looking at it from a different perspective of things that I've never seen in the game, Steve. Mm-hmm. Like, I ain't seen some of the stuff we're talking about. Bro, it's all new to the game. We ain't never seen a 39-year-old. Bro, you know what 39 feel like. You know what 39 feel like, bro. 39, bro. Bron got to be on some goddamn stuff that ain't came out yet, bro.
I don't know what the hell's up,
bro.
I can't believe what I'm seeing, and I'm so grateful because you know me. I want to be in LA in June, so I'm not mad. I'm very.
So I've been hearing a lot of players now saying this, and I think that's like a new movement. Now they feel like, look, man, y'all been beating on LeBron for a long time, man, and you know what it really is everybody know. Look, man, it's an unfair battle to go against MJ, man. It's an unfair battle. Nobody can win that. Nobody can win that. That was the golden era of basketball. The 90s was, you know, if you want to talk about 60s, 70s, 80s, right? That was like the NBA, you know, in the 60s, the NBA was in the dumps, right? And, you know, and it made its way up. And then when you get to the 80s, you got Larry Bird and Magic. That's when they first started seeing a little bit of success. But they went even higher with the 90s and MJ. And then they went global and Team USA, and Michael Jordan was global and his brand was global, Jumpman and the Jordan shoes and everything was just a big deal. And the NBA had their best from the 90s to the 2000s was the best era of basketball, right? And then what happened, because at the beginning you just got this sport and you're not marketing it well, it's not polished, it's not the best brand of basketball, you know, it's raw and all that stuff. And then when you refine it and then you clean it up and you make it great, and then you know it's great basketball, and you know and it has the right amount of marketing. Like it's great basketball with the right amount of marketing to make it global. And then after that, they went heavy on the marketing, and then everything started to turn into them manipulating things, because now we know how to make the money, and it's all about the money and the marketing now, and you get less pureness in the basketball part. But in the 90s, it was pure basketball and the right amount of marketing, and now it's just too much marketing and not enough basketball. So you hit its peak 90s and 2000s, and now you're on a decline. Now they're on a decline. That's why they trying to make all these changes and play in tournament and all this, you know, and making all these rules and all it, because they're trying to fix it while this thing is going down. It's in a decline. Trust me. This is not the best basketball we've ever seen. So you got the best player in the best era. Not a lot of tampering, not a lot of fixing games and manipulating games and all that stuff. You probably did have some fixing and manipulating, but not that, you know, because you know you were still learning the blueprint then. Now you're following the blueprint, right? You know they're manipulating games now because they want to go more into that European market. So they want their European players to actually succeed. So even that's getting manipulated. They changed the rules completely to match the European player, right? So it's a lot going on. So this is not the best not the best era of basketball that we're seeing. So we're not going to have the best players out of this era because the basketball is bad. But in the best era of basketball, that's where the best players came out of. Trust me. So it's hard to compete with MJ. It's really hard to compete with him because he was the best player in the best era, and he was the first to be what he is, and everything else is just copycats trying to follow his boot, trying to be like him, or trying to be better than him, right? And what they're failing to realize is all that other marketing stuff was kind of like a mistake. Like, you know, the NBA didn't really know exactly what they was doing. They just seen this great player and was like, oh my God, we got to showcase him. You get what I'm saying? So what the people that's trying to copy him, like LeBron, don't realize is that you have to refine yourself as a basketball player as much as he did, because that's what he was really doing. He was really trying to make himself the best basketball player possible, and people lose sight of that and try to match what he did as far as accomplishments. You know, instead of saying, man, I'm watching Michael Jordan play, his footwork was so pristine, his technique was so refined, he didn't have any wasted movements, he rarely took that many dribbles, 2 or 3 dribbles pull up, He didn't have to get to the rim. He could hit the mid range. You know, instead of looking at Michael Jordan that way and saying, I need to get in the gym and refine my game that way. That's what Kobe did. What LeBron is doing is saying, forget what Mike did on the floor. Give me a sheet of paper with all his accomplishments and let me figure out how I can get those accomplishments or more. 6 rings? Okay. Well, if I got to get 6 rings, then I got to get my first ring by this age. If I'm in Cleveland, I can't get that first ring, I'm gonna leave Cleveland. Then you build a super team. All right, I just need to get rings because I got to catch. He said I'm chasing that ghost. I got to catch MJ. I just need rings. So I built a super team that give me a head start to get those rings. And then the super team I built, Miami started spending all that money. I got 3 superstars on that squad, so I got to pay 3 guys. Well, D Wade's knees are going bad. Yeah. I don't think I can get 6 rings staying here. Plus the salary cap is all the way up now. So we ain't gonna be able to afford to bring nobody else in here. It's time for me to leave Miami. I'm going back to Cleveland. Let me get another number 2. It's Kyrie Irving. And also give me number 3, Kevin Love. Let me get these rings. So he's looking at it and he don't care how he do it. Let me put rosters together that, you know, that can guarantee that I get this ring or a chance to get a ring. Instead, that's what Michael Jordan was doing. Michael Jordan was looking at Detroit and saying, dang, we can't beat Detroit. So what am I gonna do? He didn't say, let me see who I can put on the Bulls team to beat them. He said, let me take these same guys that we lost with and y'all come with me this summer. We lifting weights. Scottie Pippen, I need you. So hey, I'm already paying this trainer, Tim Grover. He yours. Tim Grover, go work with Scotty. We got to get better. We got to get bigger. We got to get tougher. And we go come back and we go beat these dudes. Right? That's different. LeBron wasn't doing that. LeBron was saying, let me see who I can add. Let me see who I can join up and team up with. Right? So when Kevin Garnett says, man, we living in the past. We got to get rid of this Michael Jordan and embrace what we're seeing now because we ain't never seen this. 38 years old running like this. We ain't never seen that. When he's saying that, he's saying, look, man, it's an unfair fight. Leave LeBron alone. Let's leave Mike alone. Let's just embrace what we got right here, man. He can't nobody beat Mike in this conversation. Let's embrace this. But what you don't understand is we are embracing it. We like LeBron. We like Kevin Durant. We like Steph. We embracing it. We like what we seeing with Jokic. We embracing it. But we just give them pushback when people start lying and saying, you know, like, I mean, come on, you got to push back. Paul Pierce was on a podcast with Rachel Nichols during the NBA Finals when Jokic was killing everybody in the playoffs. And her question to Paul Pierce was, man, we ain't never seen nothing like Jokic as a passer. Do you think he's a better passer than Magic? Let's have that debate. They was really having conversations like that. Is this the best passer we ever seen in our life? Better than Magic? Paul Pierce said, what are you talking about? She said, I can name 30 point guards that pass better than Jokic. Jokic don't pass better than no point guard. What is wrong with you? Right? It's just like a couple of years ago when Houston had James Harden. And he was scoring 35 points a game by just jacking up shots from all over the place and shooting 50 free throws a game and 33s a game and not playing no defense. Like, just imagine if these dudes played the defense that Michael Jordan played, if they had enough and didn't have enough energy to give you 35. Right? These dudes not playing no defense. And they was having a conversation if Harden was the best scorer we ever seen. Get out of town. So when people start saying stuff like that, Kevin Garnett, that's why you hear and that's why you see people giving pushback for that, because it's all cap. So it's cool to say, yeah, let's embrace these guys. I'm embracing them. I'm watching. I'm not turning the TV off. I'm watching them. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying what we're seeing from LeBron. But let's not lie and say we ain't never seen nothing like this when he was 38. Like, seriously, at 38, if Michael Jordan decided, look, I want to compete, he wouldn't have went to the Wizards. Let's say if Michael Jordan went to the Lakers. That's where his coach was at. Phil Jackson was at the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. Just imagine if Mike would have came out of retirement and said, hey, I'm going back with my old coach. I'm going with, hey, Phil, you want me? And he go join Kobe and Shaq. Just imagine it. Imagine if Michael Jordan went and joined Kobe and Shaq instead of going to the Wizards when he was 38 years old. Come out of retirement 38. He was averaging 22 points, right? He played 60 games. He had to come out and have knee surgery. But then he came back the next year after knee surgery, and the knee still wasn't good. He was still getting it drained. And he played 82 games at the age of 39. He turned 40 by the end of the season. So 39 and 40 years old, after knee surgery, Michael Jordan played 82 games, made All-Star, averaging 20 points on a bad Wizards team. The best player was Ty Lue. Second best player probably was Rip Hamilton. He had a young Ty Lue and a young Rick Hamilton before Rip went to Detroit. He didn't go and join and handpick his team with the best talent. He didn't handpick AD like LeBron did. If he wanted a dominant big man to play with, he would have went to the Lakers and played for his coach Phil Jackson and played with Shaq and Kobe. If he really wanted the ring chase, if his mind was on, man, I'm looking at this resume and Kareem got 6, so I need to get more than 6. I need 7. If he was thinking like that, if he was thinking about his paper resume, then he would have done things totally different. He came to play with the Wizards because he owned part of the Wizards, and he didn't like the players that was on the floor and them not having heart and not giving their all. Like, he actually stepped down from the front office just so he can show them how to play with heart. He didn't come out there trying to say, I'm chasing a ring. If he was chasing rings, the beef his resume up, he never would have retired. He retired because they wasn't bringing Phil Jackson back with the Bulls, and they was gonna get rid of Scottie Pippen. And he was smart to want to get rid of Scottie Pippen, the owner, and Jerry Krause, because Scottie Pippen bad back was stopping him from being the type of coach starter was gonna help him get championships. But Michael Jordan didn't care. He still wanted to play with this guy. He said, I still want to play with Scottie, and I still want to play for Phil. Don't keep them there, or I'm leaving. I'm gonna retire. And he retired at 34 after he won a championship, an MVP, played 82 games. At 34, he retired. If he really wanted to pad his stats, 35, 36, maybe 37, he had 3 more years he could have played and still been the best player on the floor. He left 3 years out there. So yeah, Michael Jordan is not he wasn't trying to pad his stats or beef his resume or chase rings for the sole purpose of being the GOAT. Like, he was trying to win like everybody else was winning or wanted to win, so he could tell them that I won because I don't like losing. That's different from saying I want to win so I can be the GOAT. That's what LeBron is doing. I want to win so I can be the GOAT. I want to play long enough to get that scoring title so I can be the GOAT. Everything is about being the GOAT. And I don't understand why he want to be the GOAT. I don't understand it. and he's never gonna be the GOAT because we've already seen a player better than you. So it don't matter what you put on your resume or how long you play. You can play to 2040 if you want to. Nothing you add to your resume is going to make you a better player than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan and Kobe both were better players than you. You can't be a GOAT when someone is better than you and accomplish more with less time. You can't be the GOAT. The GOAT we have now can hit free throws and play defense and play all 82 games. And he was the best scorer. And he had heart. And he was clutch. All of these things. The ship has already sailed on you on what you are as a player. You're not going to change your stripes. Tiger don't change your stripes. You're not going to change what you are as a player. You are what you are. So adding to your resume only going to make it, oh, you got a better resume. Or you played long enough to get more stats. And that's all you're going to get. The last thing I wanted to get on, man, Wes Walker lost his mind, man. Listen to what this boy said.
Tyreek's the best wide receiver you've ever been around. Mm-hmm. You also were around peak Randy Moss, so what would give Tyreek the edge over?
I mean, and I all due respect to Randy. You know, I love Randy, and Randy's probably the best deep ball receiver, you know, ever in the game. But Reed can run it all. He can run a whole route tree. He can run choice routes. He can run looky. He can, you know, he can take the top off. He can his ball skills. You know, the coming in and out of breaks. Name a route you don't like him on. I just can't think of one. And to me, that's what kind of separates him in that regard, and just his mindset and the way he approaches every single day and every single game. You know, it's very, very impressive, and he's got the mentality along with all those things, which is the most important part.
Look, I like it. Right, it's cool. You work for the Dolphins. They ask you a question: is he the best receiver you've been around? You wanted to back your guy up, but you didn't have to say he runs the whole route tree. No disrespect to Randy Moss, and imply that Randy Moss can't run the whole route tree. He can run the whole route tree. Like, you know, he was complete as a receiver, but his advantage was his size and his speed, right? And there were certain things he didn't have to do. Now, if we want to talk about the best receivers that we've ever seen, the obvious answer is Jerry Rice, the GOAT. So Jerry Rice, number one. And then you start talking about the numbers that T.O. put up. And then you start talking about the freak that Randy Moss was. So at 2 and 3, you having that conversation of T.O. and Moss. Nowhere in that top 3 or top 5 does Tyreek Hill name come up. As a matter of fact, if you want to take what you're saying about Tyreek Hill, he runs the whole route tree. And I even add to that you can use him as a runner. You can get that man in reverse. You can put Tyreek Hill in the wildcat. You can put him in the backfield. You can put him on punt return. You can put him on kick return. Right? You can send him deep to take the top off the safety. You can pass it to him short. You can give him screens. Right? And when I start saying all these things, I know somebody who actually did all that stuff better than Tyreek. And his name was Steve Smith. So if you want to talk about a receiver that actually runs the whole route tree and you can use in every different all ways, and he had heart and he had hands and he go up and go get the ball at the top and all that stuff, that's Steve Smith. One of my favorite receivers. I've always said Steve Smith was a great receiver, but I wouldn't dare say he was better than most, because he wasn't. And neither is Tyreek Hill. He's not better than most. He's not better than Kevin Johnson. He's not better than Rice. He's not better than T.O. Hell, he's not even better than Art Monk. Might not even better than the playmaker. Right? So, no, Tyreek Hill is not in that category, man. Wes Rocker, I don't agree with you. I don't understand. I don't understand what you're thinking of. I mean, you might have been wild, but I don't know. Maybe Moss was lazy in New England. I don't know. I don't know what it is for you to play side by side with Moss and then coach Tyreek Hill, and for you to fix your lips and say, with all due respect to Randy Moss, Tyreek Hill can run the whole route tree. So you mean to tell me a guy that can run the whole route tree is better than Moss because he can run the route tree? There's a lot of receivers that can run the route tree probably better than Moss, but they're not better receivers than Randy Moss. Give me Randy Moss all day long. Tyreek Hill is cool, but if that's the type of receiver you want as your number one, I'd rather have Steve Smith. That's my thoughts on that. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I'll catch you on the next episode.